Alright, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to whatever this is about to be. You know, this is a little bit different from what my usual stuff is, as I don't have a lot of motorcycle content, but I mainly have a GoPro for insurance purposes, so that if I ever get yeeted off my bike, I can prove that it wasn't my fault. But you know what? I threw a mic on it, and we're gonna see what this turns into. I don't really like plan on being like a full-blown moto vlogger or anything like that. It's not really my cup of tea, but you never know, because I know a lot of the original generation of moto vloggers have all kind of fallen off the face of the earth. If this is something people like in the future, you never know. I kind of just wanted to address a lot of the situation of what's going on in Vancouver, or the Lower Mainland. If you're from here, that's what we call it. That's what the area is called. Just kind of with the police and everything, because there's a big notion that there's a lot of police hate for anything on anything with an engine at this point, essentially. So let's go, buddy. Like, you're doing 76 on the fucking highway. Pass this idiot in a second, then we'll get back into what we're talking about here. Oh, nice RS7 mint. So like I was saying, there's basically a big problem happening here in Vancouver, Canada, where cops are basically targeting a lot of shit, like bikes, and like that RS3 would probably get pulled over just because it's wrapped. Well, bikes are pretty recent, but mainly just like cars and that kind of thing. And for any of you that are subscribers of my channel, you know that like that's my MO, is I just do car stuff. Like my A3 to most degree would be considered by these police officers to be a bit of a nuisance or a pain in the ass to them. So what they're doing is basically handing out like an inspection order, and I don't really know if this like directly correlates to what's going on in the US, if they're just following by example kind of deal. It's kind of the same deal, mainly for the exhaust stuff, but it's kind of bullshit. Like, especially now that they're going after bikes, which is kind of the reason that I'm like talking about this, is because like having a loud exhaust on your motorcycle is kind of like a bit of a safety thing, because especially here in Vancouver, a lot of drivers are really oblivious to a lot of shit, and don't really pay as much attention as they should be when it comes to like what goes on in their surroundings and that kind of thing. So that's a lot of the defense that a lot of motorcyclists have with the whole, like, you know, like the Harley guys say, loud pipes save lives, and that's part of the reason why my exhaust is as loud as it is right now, is because, you know, my bike is a lot smaller than a Harley, so it's doesn't take up as much space. I'm probably just as visible, but that's the reason why my bike is so loud, because when my bike was completely stock when I bought it and I was driving it last summer, the amount of people that would like cut me off because they either didn't look or had no idea I was there was pretty substantial. So just having that extra security blanket by having a really loud exhaust is mint. So, and it also sounds wicked, but at the same time it's just kind of like, I don't want to get in shit for it. So, but hey, it is what it is. And a lot of the problem too is a lot of these guys that are getting pulled over for shit, I know, especially like cars and that kind of thing, is like to argue with the police when they pull over. It's just like, dude, the big thing when you get pulled over, especially here in Vancouver of all places, is it's a big respect thing. And like, I've talked with cops, and some of my friends are going to become police officers, and I know that's not really like a fair judgment for people that aren't already police officers, but it is definitely, a lot of it is a respect thing. Like, I got pulled over for the first time ever in my own vehicle last summer when I had my silver GTI, my Mark IV, and there was a lot of other shit he could have given me tickets for, and he acknowledged that. And, you know, I was honest about, you know, speeding, and it was my mistake about what happened. But he was like, he could have given me a lot more tickets than what he originally pulled me over for, and he was honest about it. He was like, hey man, like, you know what, like, you weren't a dick about anything and you were like honest, so we're gonna let this go today, but make sure it just doesn't happen again. And you know, that was it. I was on my way. My car was to the Motor Vehicle Act or whatever the hell regulations that people want to follow is very outside of that, so I could have gotten in a lot of shit for it, but I didn't. But at the same time, it also wasn't in like downtown Vancouver where a lot of this shit is happening. And that's another big thing about all of it, is because a lot of the people that are getting pulled over are acting like dicks. Right now I'm in, what, 4th gear on my bike, and if I revved it out kept it in 4th and went to 100 kilometers an hour, it would probably be pretty loud. But I don't do that because I'm not a dick, and I don't need everyone to be staring at me constantly because my bike's loud. But you know, like, it is, so it is what it is. But people with super loud exhaust and everything drive like complete arrogant dickheads and have like crackle tunes and two-step and everything, and they drive through Vancouver and they get pulled over and they're all surprised and everything. It's like the Pikachu meme or whatever, right? Yeah, it's just kind of really getting really stupid, especially now that they're pulling over bikes, and it's kind of sad to see. And you know, like, there's this video of Jeremy Clarkson from like years ago when he's test driving a Jag or something, where he's talking about how like petrol heads are kind of a dying breed, and it kind of is starting to seem like that's what's actually happening. It's kind of sad because, you know, it's a hobby, and they're snuffing a lot of us out because it's a hobby, and a lot of people think it's annoying. And it's just like, you know what, like, there's a lot bigger issues going on everywhere in the world, especially for what's going on in the US with the RPM Act. Like, if you guys are American and you're watching this, like, you guys need to speak up, because you're essentially the world leader for modified cars, obviously. So what happens there is going to start happening everywhere else. And you know, there's only so much we can do up here in Canada. Like, we all support like what you guys are trying to get taken down, because we don't want that here. We don't want it here now, we'll never want it here ever. But here, a lot of the big problem is the amount of people that complain, and the amount of money some people have. Like, a lot of the big issues kind of are revolving around the West Vancouver part, which is like closest to the ocean, which is where all the money is here. It's kind of like the Beverly Hills of California, or I don't know, like the Hamptons, I guess. It's where all the like multi-million-dollar homes and stuff are, and that's where a lot of these new regulations are sprouting out of. Like in West Vancouver the other day, like I think that's the big reason why a lot of motorcyclists are getting pulled over, is because in West Vancouver the other day they announced that they were going to bring in regulation on motorcycle exhausts, because people were driving by on the highway, like Highway 1, which is Canada's like main highway, and their exhausts were too loud. And you know, the Sea to Sky Highway connects to Highway 1 in West Vancouver, and that's one of the nicest, like, twisty highways in probably North America. Don't quote me on that, because I know a lot of people will say, you know what, like, there's better highways, but at the end of the day, I think it's one of my favorite. I drive it in my car all the time. It's tons of fun. And that's the thing, is they're targeting people who are abusing the crap out of the highways and driving like idiots, and that's what's ruining it for the rest of us. Is, you know, we've never really had this problem before, and I get it's probably like the boomer generation getting a little bit older and they want to complain a little bit more, but at the same time, a lot of it comes down to people in the community like not acting the way they should and not being courteous to other people. Like it's the same mentality as you know, if you have a straight pipe car, you don't go out there and fire it up at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to piss off your neighbors, kind of deal. You know what I mean? You don't shit in your own backyard. So it's just like in residential areas, you just don't drive like a dick. You don't lane split everyone, because then when you're lane splitting and you get caught on dash cam and you crash, it makes everybody else look bad. So it's a little bit of everybody do their part and act kind of more responsible towards the situation. But then at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be combated because it's just kind of abuse, and that comes back to the whole like VI situation if you're from Vancouver, or the vehicle inspection situation, where they try and nail anybody and everybody they can so that they can, and people think it's a revenue thing, people think it's like a personal issue thing with some people from a couple of years ago that may have started this because of something that they said to an officer. But whatever it is, I mean, it's becoming pretty stupid, and it makes a lot of enthusiasts not want to go and enjoy the places that especially this province has to offer. Like, we can't go and cruise along the beach in downtown Vancouver anymore because it's just, you know, we get absolutely annihilated at any time or any chance that these certain police officers or certain departments can get. So I don't know, that's just kind of my 2 cents about the situation. It's kind of stupid. I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's like you've got bigger, like, resources can be spent in many different ways, and this just isn't like one of them. Like, I mean, pull over the people who are street racing, pull over the people who are driving recklessly in traffic and that kind of thing. Like, do that kind of stuff. Don't pull over people who are literally just going about their day, and just because, oh, this guy's lowered, or this guy's got wheels that don't fit to my specification, or this guy's got a muffler delete so his car's too loud. And yeah, it's pretty stupid. Like, they pull over people that have completely stock cars. Like, there was a problem here, I think last week, where they pulled over, or no, about 2 weeks ago, they pulled over a completely stock 86. Like, I think it was the Toyota version of the FRS or whatever, but it was like the Toyota 86, and it was bone stock. And they impounded it for 90 days because they were going to investigate the car because it failed their decibel test. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've ever been around a completely stock 86 or driven one, they're literally vacuum cleaners from the factory. So I don't know how this car failed, but these guys somehow made it fail. They failed it via a decibel test, and I think the range here is like 86 or 84 decibels or something. Like, pretty, I say pretty low because my bike is like well above whatever the limit is for sure, but it's just, it's kind of stupid. Like, and they pull over stock Lambos and stock Ferraris and stuff like all the time, which, like, understandable, they're pretty loud from the factory, but it's just like, okay, if they don't meet like sound regulation, why are they here? But at the same time, if they're failing stock 86s, then literally every single car would fail, because based off of the way that they're testing it, they're basically sticking the decibel reader right up the tailpipe, or they're not doing it in ideal test conditions, and it's just like, it's an unfair test. So it's, you know, they're welcome to do the test if they want to do it properly. Then I think a lot of people would be more open to it, because a lot more people would be passing for sure. Like, my A3 isn't very loud within the decibel test parameters, which is like 3,000 RPM at, like, in like park or neutral, which has no load on it. So, like, whatever, like, their test is already pretty flawed to begin with, but they're just abusing it. They're not testing things properly. They're not, like, the government won't investigate it, the higher ups in the police department won't investigate it. Like, it's literally just one section of this police department that does it, and no one bats an eye, because at the end of the day they bring money in, and it's just like, dude, like, this is fucking retarded. So it's just a bit of a gong show here right now. So, but anyways, guys, that'll probably do it. This is just kind of like a quick little rant I wanted to go on about, because this is something that I've kind of wanted to address on the channel for like a long time. There's not a lot of YouTubers here that are automotive based that have really like talked about the situation, but I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, it's a drama thing, like we don't give a shit about this. And it's just like, yeah, well, you know what, it's something that's going on here. Lots of people talk about what's going on in their states and their provinces and that kind of thing on their channels, so I just thought I'd talk about what's going on in mine. So if people want me to ride moto a little bit more, I definitely can. So make sure you let me know in the comments if this is something you guys want to see more of, and I'm more than happy to film it because I'm going to be riding a lot in the summer because I didn't really ride too much last year, and I'm getting a lot more comfortable with it. So once we get some really bomb-ass gear and everything, then I'll probably start learning some stuff. But anyways, guys, peace out. I'll see you in the next video.